Hello guys, and welcome to the first Survivor breakdown video, and this is for Season 8 Episode 1 of All Stars. All Stars is an incredible entry point into the series because you get to see the players at their best. Some of the earlier seasons is finding its feet, really working out how to play the game, where the social manipulation comes in, but this series already is cutthroat just from episode 1. So in this episode, we are going to be taking a look at each of the tribes, who's in a position of power, who's looking like the next person to go home, and also predictions for the rest of the series. So make sure you stick around and tune in every single episode, or most of them, and I will be doing a very similar thing to this. So let's get into the episode, shall we? So we're going to start by talking about Samburu. Now, Samburu were the losing tribe of this episode. They lost the challenge, Quest for Fire. It was a pretty poor showing, I won't lie. It was just a struggle bus from the start and they never really got going. Now, if you remember, on this team are two winners, Tina and Ethan. You've got Jenna L from Season 1, you've got Jerry from Season 2, you've got Rudy from Season 1, and you've got Rupert from Season 7. So there's a lot of interesting people on this team that don't quite vibe and work together. Sadly, Tina was the one to go. She was voted out very quickly because she was a winner and therefore she was a threat to the other people, because if she's made it one time, who's to say she can make it again? There's also a sentiment that there's a lot of anti-winner sentiment in this competition. No one really wants to let a winner get to the final, even though realistically it's probably your best bet at winning. It's not exactly like it's a given that they'll win again. It's a case of, if you take them to the final two, people might be more likely to actually vote for you than vote for somebody else that's already won. I think that's quite a smart strategy personally, but I guess that they're not entirely on that same wavelength, sadly. So this is the power ranking, or this is how I feel. At the bottom of the power ranking for Team Samburu, we have Ethan. Ethan won Series 3 in Africa. He was an incredible survivor, very worthy and deserving of winning. But obviously now that he's back, he's being targeted because he is a winner, and it is sad because I would like to see him on the show, but I have a feeling if Samburu loses the immunity challenge again, then he's going to be the next person out of the door. From there, I feel like Jenna currently has the most power. She is in the most powerful position because she is the one that's kind of calling the shots. She's the one that spoke to Rupert and was like, yo, this is the plan, we're getting rid of XYZ. And Rupert went along with that plan. There was a similar vibe between Rupert and Ethan, in which Ethan was like, yo, vote with us and vote Jenna out. And that just didn't work. So currently, my ranking is Jenna L at the top. Rupert is in second because I feel like he's got a lot to give the team. Nobody really wants to vote him out because he's very helpful and handy around the camp. Then we've got Rudy. Rudy is a fantastic competitor. I don't vibe with him as a person, but he's a fantastic competitor because he is the most brash, unlikable person, but then he seems to make it very far in the competition. So I have no doubt that he'll be kept around. He's not being voted out, in my opinion, anytime soon. Then we've got Jerry. Jerry is probably the most likely to go after Ethan, just because I feel like Rudy and Rupert will always vote with each other, and I think Jenna will want to join the boys more than she'll want to stick with Jerry, if that makes sense. So Samburu is in a little bit of a awkward position because they're the first tribe to actually lose somebody, and that is going to cause problems in the future because they're going to be one person down at every challenge, and it could mean that they could be two people down by the end of episode 2. So it's not looking great for them, but it's time to move on to the next tribe. So if we head over to Shapira, Shapira is in an interesting position. They've still got all of their people, but they're the only team that has no winners. There's 4 winners in the competition as a whole, and they're the only team that doesn't have any winners on their team. It's an interesting one. There's a lot of personalities going on here. You've got Alicia and Rob M, who are kind of warring already. You've got a budding friendship between Rob M and Amber, which seems like it could be a very useful alliance down the line. You've got Rob C, who is a scheming mastermind, and I think this team could work against him to get him out if they find out that he's been manipulating things or whatever. And then you've got Susan and Tom, who are an odd pair in the fact that, like, I don't get the vibe that Susan actually wants to be here. And Tom is so happy to be here, but doesn't really do much that I've seen yet. So I feel like this team is very, very interesting. I feel like there's definitely a solid person or two people at the top of the totem pole rankings. Rob M is definitely got the most power in this tribe because he's made connections with Amber, who I would put in second place, and I feel like he's also struck up a good sort of rapport with Rob C as well, who was from the Amazon season 6. So it's a really interesting dynamic seeing those three dominate the top. And then I would say in fourth position is Alicia. And the reason why I would say Alicia is in the fourth position is because I feel like her argument with Rob M is going to cause a lot of friction between her and the people who are on his side. It might not affect Tom and Susan, but it probably will affect the three people above her, so that if she ends up in a position where, let's say, it's the four of them and they're like, who do we go for next? Alicia's going to be the next person out of the door. Then I would say the bottom two would be Tom and then Susan. Susan is currently being a bit lazy. She's not really doing much. She's drinking well water, so who knows what's going to happen to her. It's just not good vibes from Susan's end. So I think if they end up in the bottom, they're going to vote out Susan, because I can't see them not voting out Susan. I think Tom is another choice for them to take, but I'm struggling to think of like a valid reason why they would want to get rid of Tom at this point. Tom, I think he made it to top 4, maybe top 3 in his initial season. I think it was Africa he was on. Might be the Australian Act Back. It was one of those early seasons that blur into one sometimes. But genuinely, I do feel like Tom doesn't give me any vibes as to like why he wouldn't be kept on the team. But also, once they got rid of Susan, it might be a case of, well, we need someone to go, and everyone else here is much younger, therefore will be much better in the challenges. So if we have to get rid of someone, it's going to be you. It's a shame, but I think it's the way you've got to play the game. You've got to play to your advantages, and if your advantage isn't Tom, don't play him. Get rid of him. So the final team that we're going to be talking about today is going to be Mogo Mogo. Still a really odd name to me. I don't understand what any of these names and their relevances are. I feel like someone needs to explain that to me because I'm so confused and they don't explain it on the show ever. So we have Lex Colby, Xian, Jenna M, Richard Hatch, and Kathy. It's an interesting, eclectic mix of people, and currently the person sitting at the bottom of the totem pole is Richard Hatch. No one on his team particularly likes him. They respect him, sure, but they don't particularly like him. I can't see a world in which he isn't the first person voted out on their team. It would shock me if that wasn't the case, because not only is he very, very, very obviously not doing anything around camp, but he's actively trying to get people to be pissed off with him in an attempt to play the game. I don't really know what he's playing because it's not working for me. It's not a good idea to make your teammates pissed off at you. Also, you can make fire, or you claim that you can easily make fire, but you're allowing your teammates to struggle and therefore go without water because you're like, oh yeah, well, I've got plenty of fat on me, so I won't starve for a while. And it's like, do you have to be like that? Do you really have to be like that? Like, it's not a nice way to be. Maybe that's a controversial statement. I don't know how people feel about Richard Hatch. I liked him on his initial series, but I'm not currently enjoying him on this series. I find him to be just a little bit pompous and boastful about how good he is at the game. But like Lex said, he was shooting fish in a barrel. This is a completely different game now than the one he played back in 2000 on Borneo. So who knows, honestly. Next up the totem pole is Jenna M. Jenna M is a winner. And the reason why I say that she is probably not going to be the best person to put your bets on is because she's a winner. They're not going to want to gift a winner again. It's a shame that they do it like that, because I don't think it should matter personally. I think it's a game. Play the game. Best person wins. Or be tactical, but like, don't vote them out just because they've already won $1 million, because that's just a bit of a piss poor reason, in my opinion. But I do think she's at the bottom of the totem pole in the sense that, like, I haven't seen her make any connections with people yet, but I also feel like genuinely she's just, out of the girls, the one that I'm not convinced will be able to convince other people to keep her. I'm still in shock and awe that she made it to the final on her series. The Amazon was a messy series, but like, it was also fantastic, so I can't blame them. But I always really questioned her winning, being like, I don't know how you made it to the top 2, personally. But that's just how I feel about her. I love her, she's great, she's very funny, and she's very entertaining. But I'm not sure whether I would have chosen her as my winner, personally. Then we've got Xian. Xian is fantastic. I loved her in her original series. I think that was Marquesas, I think. And I just thought she was fantastic. I really enjoyed her. I thought she had great vibes. When they accidentally botched the whole joining the teams, and then they were like, you're living together, but you're still 2 teams. That was fucked, personally. That was really bad. But I feel like it was just a shame that she didn't get to show her true potential. I do think she's going to do well on this series. I can't see them voting her off, but I feel like she's going to go before the other 3. Then we've got Kathy. I feel like Kathy was one of my favourites on her series. I think she was on Marquesas as well. Wait, maybe Xian was on Thailand, actually, now I'm thinking about it. I think Xian actually was on Thailand. So Kathy was on Marquesas. Loved Kathy on Marquesas. Loved to see her back again. She hasn't done much yet, but like, I'm putting her quite high because I feel like she's got a lot of power. They saw what she could do on her original series, and I think she can easily do it again if she just has the right luck. Then we got Colby. Colby made it top 2 in Australian Outback. It was a toss-up between him and Tina, who won, honestly, but I do think that Colby is in a position of power. And surprisingly, I think Lex has got the most power in this team. He seems to be the person that is quashing a lot of the arguments, dispelling all the rumours, being like, guys, let's focus on actually working rather than manipulating and confronting each other about it. I think he's got a healthy attitude towards the game, and it's going to make people want to keep him in. Because they're like, oh yeah, he's uplifting the group, he's stopping us from overthinking things. I think there's good vibes there from him. Anything could change. Anything could change. So that is it for the first Survivor breakdown of the episode. I just wanted to talk about each of the tribes, how they're doing. The challenge in this episode was entertaining. They're always quite thrilling, especially near the start. And then the further you get in and the more you're sort of like, oh, I really want this person to win. I don't want this person to get the immunity idol. I want this person to survive this vote. I want this person to be voted off. That's when things start getting a lot hectic. Tina, unfortunately, was the first person to go home. Very, very sad. And I think I spoke extensively about that in the video that when I was reacting to it. But I loved her in her original series. It's sad to see her go out first. It's always a shame when you've got someone as strong as Tina, like social game wise, go out first, because it is just because she's a target, because she's a winner, essentially. There's nothing else you can say about it. So yeah, that is pretty much it. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, doing all those YouTube things that you guys do so well. So until then, keep on ranting, and I'll see you guys later. Bye now.